Non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Welcome to Non-stop rock talk. This is your host Tyson Bryden, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Today I'm happy to welcome the Great Affairs lead singer Denny Smith to the show. Denny, welcome. How's it going?
Hey man, glad to be here.
Let's immediately talk about the Great Affairs. Tell me a bit about the band. I mean, where you guys are from, when the band started, who's who in the band, all the pertinent details.
Well, presently we're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. Myself, Kenny Wright is my co-lead vocalist and drummer. Our new guitarist is Corey Rizzo Rizzani, formerly of the Burton Brothers, and Mr. Matt Anderson bringing up the rear on bass. And that has been the lineup now since December, but we've been around since 2009. Took a little hiatus for a couple of years while I worked on some other projects, and then we kind of reconvened in 2012 with this variation of this lineup. So Kenny came on board in 2012. Prior to that, we've been kind of tooling around the Americana kind of thing, doing the more strummy stuff. And when he came in, we kind of turned things up a little bit and became. Well, we're on our way to. We didn't quite get there yet, but started to turn more into a straight-up rock and roll band, and that's kind of continued to progress right up until now. So, yeah, we've started out as more of a Ryan Adams, without the texting 15-year-old girls strummy thing, and then, slowly morphed into this more of a, classic rock kind of vibe, with little hints of power pop here and there. And we still get into the strummy stuff a little bit, but it's a lot louder on the guitar side of things these days than it was in the beginning.
Cool. Is Butch Walker considered that same type of music?
It depends. What year is it?
Yeah.
He kind of does. I don't know, man. I always saw him as he's a kind of a chameleon. He's got that. He does the power pop stuff really well, but yeah, he's. I don't know that he has the texting thing going for him that Ryan has.
That's fun.
But, who knows? A new one rolls out every day. I hope Butch isn't.
Yeah, I don't think
he's living here now, as a matter of fact. He's here in Nashville now, too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm a big fan, actually.
Me too.
I loved his latest album, the concept album, I guess you call it.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, it was fantastic. And, I'm a writer for Sleaze Rocks, the hair side.
Cool.
And it was kind of, the readers probably thought it was weird because that was actually my number one album of the year. I had to do the top 5. And that was the album. It was just, compared to everything else, I loved the album and I thought it was fantastic. And there it is. So,
man, I don't even know why. I was kind of confused when it came out because I was expecting something a lot more, no pun intended, left to center for him. Like it was going to be even, he made it sound like it was going to be so out there. And the concept is, obviously really timely and stuff, but man, I just thought it was just a bunch of great songs. Yeah. I didn't, whatever the lyrical theme was aside, man, those are some of the hookiest songs he's done.
Yeah.
In years, man. And I'll be honest, as a fan, he has lost me from time to time on a couple records where I was not enamored with it. And I still went to the shows.
Yeah.
And, because other than one or two tours where he really brought it down, it was just kind of him with the, kick drum and the acoustic guitar thing. He always delivers. Even then, even those shows are still really great. But, man, in my opinion, dude, he is about as untouchable a live performer as you're going to find. And he's so on fire every time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was funny because, that album starts out, are we having a conversation? Are we having a conversation? Like, I was like, when I put it on, I was like, what the heck is this? And it's like, I've got like 7 speakers in my apartment where I live, and I've got, on my receiver, it's on 7-channel enhancement, right? So,
oh yes, you got a swirl.
Yeah, so it's just going back and forth, and I'm like, this is so cool. And then the music comes on, and even the topics he's talking about, it's very, it's almost like him saying there's two sides to the American story. There's the American story that is the white picket fence and everything is good. But then on the other hand, he's kind of saying that, like there's these things that happen, not just in America, in the world where the perception isn't what you think it is. And, and I thought the theme of the whole album it was fantastic. It really, I really got it. So
no, he hit a nerve, man. It's a shame that he didn't get to tour that record, because who knows what would have come out of that in terms of, because it really deserved a lot more attention. Even though it did get a lot of accolades, it deserved, I think, in my opinion, at least, far more attention than it got, because he really did. I don't know how long that was on the shelf. I know he said he at least had it for, he'd been working on it for a couple of years and put it off, but man, talk about just dropping a bomb at the exact right moment. I mean, they could not have got a more timely, piece of commentary set to melody than that at that exact moment,
For everything that happened last year, it was, it made sense. It was, it's unfortunate. I hope he still plans on touring for it.
I can't imagine. I know he's kind of not. He doesn't road dog it the way he used to. Yeah, obviously. Of course. But I mean, it's always seems like he squeezes in a good month or so every year to go out and do. And it always hits here. So, plus, if not that, he does these things in Atlanta every year, or at least not this year, obviously. But he does these charity things closer to where he grew up, that if you're lucky enough to snag a ticket in time,
Cartersville.
Cartersville, Georgia. Yeah. So if you can get a ticket to those, man, those are cool too. Because some of that stuff I think has been on DVDs he's released before. They usually do like a Marvelous 3 reunion of some kind, and
which I love seeing. It's just so cool.
Yeah, those guys were great, man. I miss that band.
I do too.
Fantastic.
And apparently Jesse Hart, the South Gang lead singer, I just got an email last week. He's re-releasing the Bite the Bullet.
I saw that through MCA Records.
Yeah, and I was like, so I listened to one of the songs that was included with it, and I was like, it was one of the songs that's on Tainted Angel, but it sounds different. It's like...
Are they the original demos then?
Yeah, it's the original Bite the Bullet demos. It sounds a little bit different. I think I'd have to listen to it a few times. It doesn't sound as slick as it did on Tainted.
Oh, well, that was a Desmond Child production or something, wasn't that? Yeah,
it was. It definitely was. So, sorry, we got off course on Butch.
No, man, I'm steeped in that stuff, man. You're not going to lose me. So that's cool.
I mean, it was funny. I interviewed a gentleman named John Merchant, who's from Michigan.
Oh, yeah. He goes to Sunset.
Yeah, go to Sunset. And he said his show, he does a podcast as well. He goes, every episode we talk about Butch Walker. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man. He goes, I'm just such a big fan. I was like, you know what? There's so many Butch Walker fans. I don't, they just come out of the woodwork. I have a good friend who's, he's a bass player in a band, and we've been friends for like 30 years. He's a huge Butch Walker fan. And he said to me, I've been trying to get these vinyls. He says, I'm looking for the Spade. I said, I have that on vinyl.
Yes.
He goes, oh man, that's like one of his best albums. I'm like, that is a good album. So
that's a great tour too.
I don't know if I saw that tour. I don't think I did.
That was a great band. That whole period was I think that was when he dipped his toe back in the rock and roll thing for a minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Now we're here. And then he kind of, like I said, he kind of bounces up and down on the waves. You never know what you're going to get when the thing comes out. That usually the first single is you could go a couple different ways, and I have to wait for the second single. It's like, okay, it's gonna be one of these albums. I'm not sure if I'm gonna fall in love with this one like I did the last one, but
I'll usually go on a streaming site and listen and decide. You know what I mean? Like with Stay Gold, I listened to that and I was like, okay, I really like this album, so I bought it. Right?
Yeah.
You're right though. It's hit and miss with them. It's like what stylistically is he going to do? And
he does this thing too, man. Where I used to say Buck Cherries was one of these bands, the every other album band, where like they really nail it, and then they just really miss the mark entirely, like the dart sticking in the wall kind of thing. And it's not with him, man. I think his is more of a concerted he just does what he wants to do, which I totally respect that, man. And I admire it, because it's like, you know, he knows that he has, like you said, there are so many fans. It's not a platinum selling number of fans, but he has a fan base that will support him.
Yeah.
In pretty much whatever he does. And they're going to gripe, because that's what people do, especially now. Everybody complains about everything. But they're going to come back for the next one and give it another shake. And if that's the one that tickles their Twinkie, then they'll run that one off the flagpole. But it's just, he's not going to. I just like the fact that he does it. As much as it irritates me sometimes, like, I don't know, I'm not going to listen to this one a bunch.
Yeah. I
can't help but respect it, man. Because he's got the money and the side career to support being an artist, like a real artist that just follows his vision.
Yeah,
you know?
Which is cool. I mean, I had a hard time. Like, I thought when Ready Sex Go came out, I was like, oh, I really liked that album. I was like, oh man, I like the theme. You know, they're going kind of like 80s kind of, you know, like almost that vibe with a newer vibe too. And then Left of Self-Centered, I thought was great. And then Letters came out. He was on Arista on that one, and then he signed to Epic. Letters comes out, and I was like, what the heck is this? Because he changed a lot.
Oh yeah, he went full emo on that, which I love that record, man.
And I love it now.
My favorite one.
Me too. But it's one of my.
It was a shock for sure, because he totally tamed all that. That the Left of Self-Centered was such a heavy guitar rock thing, and that was such a not that at all. I mean, he still had that. The live show was still like that, but that record was so subdued by comparison. Yeah, that was a shock at first. And I was like, oh,
huge shock, and like I remember listening to it and going, I don't get this, but now I listen to it and I'm just like, these are some of his best songs.
Yeah,
and then the Let's Go Out Tonight's album, I thought that was good.
I don't mind that one. That was a really good tour, and that was a really ambitious
I saw that too.
Record too, man. He's the same thing on that. He kind of, we're going to take this, we're going to turn it this way, and do the, you know, T-Rex kind of vibe, which killer live, man. That again, that band was fantastic.
I think I saw them a couple times on that tour, actually.
Yeah, that was a great one, and then it started to kind of. He started weaving around after that. I felt like those two records were kind of like companion pieces. Yeah. And then it kind of started. That's where the real tricky journey. Yes.
I didn't like that one, and
I like some of it.
I can't remember. I haven't listened to it in so long. And then the first Black Widows album, I didn't really get.
Was that I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart, or whatever it's called?
Yeah. It was. He kind of lost me there for a little bit, and then I came.
Now that was when he really went off the deep end on the production thing too, and doing he produced that Hot Heat band. Yeah. And if you listen to those albums side by side, you start to get an idea of where, you know, I can see where he got into that mindset, because those bands, he was incorporating elements of what he'd done for those bands into his thing. And it's like, okay, now I kind of see it, man. It's just like the stew. Somebody threw some new ingredients in the stew kind of thing.
I'll have to check that out to kind of get that vibe. That's kind of weird. Huh.
Because he brought the same thing to those other bands he produced. You can listen to those. Oh, that's a Butch Walker snare sound there on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think I just didn't listen to it enough, because I just couldn't get into it, and didn't attribute the other stuff he was doing to that, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, I mean, dude, we're different. We're not of the age anymore where, like, you know, when you're a kid and you bought Pyromania or something, it's like you only had 4 cassettes or albums, or whatever, so you just kept playing it.
That's right.
And even if it had been a terrible album, you probably would have ended up liking it, because it was your only 4 albums, so you just wore it in the ground. Now it's like you listen to something, and if it doesn't get you on that first spin, and trust me, you're a musician, you know it as well, when you're trying to, you know, get somebody to turn on to your own stuff. It's like, you know, you only got that little tiny window of their newly tweaked attention span to get in there. You know what I mean? And so it's so easy to overlook stuff and dismiss stuff now, man. I've done it. Yeah. To his stuff in particular, where I'm the same way. It's like, this isn't grabbing me. And then I might revisit it in 6 months and be like, oh, this is brilliant. But,
yeah, exactly. I mean, letters just took a long time. I mean, Best Thing You Never Had was like the song. I didn't get it at first, but now I think it's one of the greatest songs he ever wrote.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, that was it. I had the benefit of seeing some of those songs live before that stuff came out, too. Like, he would do some of those acoustic duo things with the drummer.
Yeah, I went to those.
And you'd hear those things. So it's like you're just waiting for them. You know, you're waiting for those songs. And they're fantastic, man. Those were so electrifying. It's just him and a dude banging on stuff and shaking things.
I remember that. I went to Buffalo, and he opened up for Fastball.
Really?
Yeah, but it was Fastball, the two guys, and they were playing acoustic. And I don't even think I saw them. I went for Butch. We went to see Butch, and then ended up driving home in a snowstorm and got home like really late. Yeah, it's like you never know in Buffalo because Buffalo's that way sometimes. But it was so worth it, and I actually walked up to Butch, and he was sitting at the bar by himself, and I started talking to him, and he goes, "Man, I don't know a single person here." I was like, "Well, now you know me," and it was kind of weird because it was before it was that Left of Self-Centered album, and people in Buffalo I don't think they knew about him. And then a few years later, Letters comes out, and he kind of started building that following.
They call it a cult.
A cult following, yeah. Yeah, a cult. Yeah, exactly.
In his case, it's an actual cult.
It is a cult.
I'm pretty sure I've been indoctrinated into it at some point, but yeah, you're right, man. He didn't. I mean, I saw Marvelous 3 headline a couple times in clubs, and I saw them open for like Collective Soul, and they would play on like Radio Fest and stuff down here.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how unsung that band was as far as the masses are concerned. Even the people that they opened for knew he was great because they ended up having him produce tracks for him, or they'd bring him out. He would come out and, he came out and duetted with Ed Roland on, they did a U2 cover or something
cool.
with Collective Soul. And he sang his when I say sang his ass off, he sang rings around Ed Roland. So it's like this, the guy is an undeniable force, always has been, but it's just like it just doesn't quite, it just never quite made it all the way over the hump to the, the masses, I guess, or however you want to describe it. But I've never been able to understand it. I don't know what it is. Everybody that I know as a musician recognizes it, but it just doesn't, But if I had his career, I'd be ecstatic.
I'd be happy.
So
yeah, exactly.
I could live with it.
I mean, it's funny. I even remember thinking back to the second South Gang album on Group Therapy. His voice is all over that. You can hear him in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like all over it. And you're kind of thinking, you didn't think at the time, you weren't like, okay, what's going on here? Is he leaning towards singing? You never thought that. You're just like, okay, there's this other guy singing with the band kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I'm not a fan of those South Gang records. I'll be the first one to say I like some of those songs, but I was not one of those bands I ever got into at that point. For some reason, I just didn't. Anything now, I love it, but back then, anything Southern rock did not do it for me. For some reason, I was turned off by it. So, and then the Floyd's Funk Revival stuff, I was like, yeah, this is okay, because they would come through Chicago and stuff, and it was, it is what it was. But man, Marvelous 3, from the first time I heard that stuff, I was like, okay, this is like, because it was all the same stuff I loved. It was Elvis Costello.
Yeah, me too.
Meets Billy Joel, meets Cheap Trick. It was all of these great things. I was like, where was this whole time?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's funny because the Floyd's album, after Floyd's Funk Revival, and they became the Floyds, I have that. And there's probably only 2 songs I really like on it, but you could see the band changing. You could see
the shift. Yeah.
The shift, right?
Yep.
And funny story about Marvelous 3 was I heard Freak of the Week on the radio. So up here in Canada, we don't get, unless you're reading Metal Edge or something like that back then, we have the internet and we get a lot more information now, but like figure what, 99, 2000, whatever it was.
Yeah, right about then, yeah.
You had no idea what was going on. You still relied on the radio. So anyways, Freak of the Week comes on and I hear it on the radio. I was like, holy cow, I really like this song. So I go to the store, I buy the CD, And I didn't think anything of it. I pop it in. I'm like, holy cow, this is really, really good. So one day I open up the CD and I'm reading the liner notes and I'm like, Butch Walker, Jace Fincher, Mix McLean. I'm like,
3 out of 4, all represent.
Are you kidding me? And then I was hooked from there. I was like, that's what happened to these. I thought they were still Floyd's funk revival, right? So that's kind of how I became a Marvelous 3 fan. It wasn't because of Butch Walker. It wasn't because of me being a South Gang fan. It was actually, I discovered them, and I guess they kind of came back into my life.
Well, dude, I was a religious Metal Edge reader, so I knew when all that stuff went down, I knew all those changes, and I followed along with all that stuff, and I knew but they always presented the Marvelous 3 when it first came out as being almost like a joke thing. Like, I always thought it was like not meant to be like, because they always called it the Floyd side project. It was never. So I always thought this is like a thing they were just doing as like a lark, Because so Christina, a buddy of mine was because she was So I just thought it was like not a real deal. And then some friends of mine that still lived in Nashville, I had moved back to Central Illinois by this point, said, man, you need to check this thing out. And it was the first independent record, the Math and Other Problems thing. You need to get a copy of that. We just saw them play at the end. It was great. It's everything you dig. And I was like, okay, so I ordered it, got it, and sure enough, I was like, man, this is brilliant. Yeah. And then I ended up ordering, the original version of
the Hail,
the second record. Yeah, when that came out.
Something else, right?
Was it? Well, I think it was still called the Hail. I might have a copy around or somewhere. It has a different cover.
It has a different cover.
It's different mixes, and a couple tracks are different.
Cold as Hell is on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, man, but that same thing, man, though, I heard Freak of the Week, I was like, oh, dude, this is, and then almost instantly they were signed to Elektra, and that other version came out. So, and it was funny because at that point, that would have been, I guess it was not till around Ready, Sex, Go or something. I remember when I joined this band in Los Angeles, and I was flying back and forth trying to manage my shops and do these, because we were starting to get some label interest and stuff when we were doing showcases, and I was this whole crazy time because we were like using them almost as a template, because we thought the management company we signed with, they had Nickelback and Oleander and all these like heavier modern rock bands.
Good band.
Yeah, but they also had Union. And so we were kind of like in the middle. We were their power pop band, and we didn't really know. We were always kind of like, I don't know why they have us, because we don't really fit the genre that they represent, generally speaking. But they liked us, and they kept trying to get us a deal. But we kept looking at Marvelous 3 as, man, as long as these guys can hold on, they're doing the same kind of thing. We're good. They're older than us. We can still get a deal, kind of thing. And then when that Ready, Sex, Go came out and fizzled, it was like, oh no.
Yeah, I know.
Because it didn't. I thought, how did this not take off? It was so much better than anything we were doing. And I thought, we're done. We're never going to get. We're going to have to go Matchbox 20 or something to get a deal now. Yeah,
people didn't get that album for some reason. It was so good.
Yeah, the label really.
Yeah,
that had a lot to do with the label.
Yeah,
they really did a piss poor job of trying to get that one over. I felt like almost really didn't do anything for it.
It looked so good. Like, the cover was cool. I mean, they put a mannequin on it, and
the first single wasn't. I don't know how you felt about that.
The first single, right?
Sugar Buzz is the first thing that went to radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's so many better songs than that for as far as the first track to come out of the gate. Yeah. I kind of always wondered if that was where they, missed the boat. But who knows, man? There were so many bands. At that point, man, it was kind of like that was still the free for all of labels were signing everything and throwing stuff out. And
it was weird though, because like even a band like Lit, who kind of came out at the same time as the first the second Marvelous 3 album, first Elektra album, we'll say.
Yeah.
I mean, they did well on that album, and then their next album comes out. And I mean, it did okay, but it nothing compared to what their first album did.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That record after it, that Atomic record, and the one they did independently was an even better record. Yeah, and so they
U-Turn. Is that
Too Fast for U-Turn.
Too Fast for U-Turn. Love that song.
That was and the same thing. We looked at that. I was always like, oh man, if these guys it was very clear that little tiny moment where that kind of hybrid rock and roll pop thing took off, it was going to be short lived, and it was a drag, because that was the only thing, that's really all I know how to do. So because our label was, our management rather, was leaning on us to, maybe do the drop D thing, and you can do these, and it's like, man, that's just not. And we tried, we did it, wrote a million songs like that, but it just didn't. It wasn't us, And then when we started to get to these showcases, and they're telling us, this week it's Atlantic, so make sure you play all your pop stuff. Make sure, tone down the image, and it's like, oh, so we're just going to do whatever. It's like we were like a Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
Are we going to have ears today? Are we going to have, what are we no hat today?
Great.
It was just so weird.
That was good.
That
was good enough.
Well, it was hard to keep up with, man. It was like we didn't know. It was like they didn't want us to have a specific identity. They just wanted to have us. We had to be moldable.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we can't. This is what we do. What we do, but they had already figured out that we would bend just enough that, well, these guys will do whatever we tell them to do. So, and we did, and it never worked, because then they would show up, and I remember doing a show, this one in particular, and then the guys from the label complaining afterwards that, well, that's not why didn't they do the, because we didn't do the rock thing they were expecting. It's like, we were told not to do the rock thing, So I understand how bands like that don't, it's just hard to get your foot in the door and keep it in the door, much less kick it open. So,
when you think of Butch's first solo album, it fell flat, unfortunately. And Sober was such a great song.
Well, dude, and that was the same thing, though, man. There was really not, I never felt like there was, I saw him in Chicago on that tour. He played, where did he play, like Elbow Room or something? It was a downstairs club, and it was wall to wall. You couldn't move in there. It was a small joint, but it was just packed. And I thought, well, man, this is gonna take off, And then nothing, man. We couldn't give that away at the shop, and I played it all the time. And people were always, hey, what is this?
Really?
But it's just like, it didn't take off. And that was, man, they put money to that. Because you remember at that time, Arista, whatever it's pronounced.
Arista, however you pronounce it.
But remember, they signed, they had that From Zero band. They had their new rock division. So they had Lennon Murphy, and they threw a bunch of money into Lennon Murphy. Then there was one other band, but they had 4 rock acts.
Wow. And
they didn't have a rock radio department. So, because they were a pop label, they were busy selling Whitney Houston stuff,
Right.
So it just didn't get the chance.
Was Clive Davis still around then?
I don't know. I think J Records was active by then.
Okay.
Because he would have had to be, because I remember we showcased for J Records, so he was already off to that then by that point.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering because Arista, they had Whitney Houston, but even in the late 80s, they had Babylon AD. They signed Enough's Enough for one album, and
for one record.
They had Every Mother's Nightmare. But I think those were the only hard rock bands that they had.
And none of those really got over the hump, really, either. They were, they have a following. Everybody's actually Babylon AD too are still active to some degree.
Yeah.
But they, not because anything those labels did. They just gave them their start. But yeah, it's like they just couldn't. I don't know, man. I never. How we used to joke that MCA was the graveyard for rock bands kind of thing. That
you want to ruin your career, sign with MCA.
Yeah, I think there are several of those. MCA just gets the hardest of the bad rap on it.
I think MCA gets such a bad rap is because they signed so many bands.
Yeah.
You look, I remember opening up Metal Edge, and remember they used to show the labels rosters, and you'd see MCA, and the list would be it'd be almost the full, all the way down to the bottom, and it'd start at the top and go to the bottom, and you'd be like, holy cow. Because, they had, Spread Eagle, Cold Sweat, Pretty Boy Floyd, that's just 3 of them, and then, Jet Boy.
And the only one, Jet Boy,
Trickster, yeah. Bang Tango.
Bang Tango's on it. But really, Bang Tango and Trickster are the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head that sold a substantial amount of records for them. All the rest of those all kind of became footnotes when it comes to, in terms of sales. And that was back when they were just kind of like giving away gold albums.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even manage that. I've never been able to understand how there's a couple of those bands.
Oh, Sweet FA.
Sweet FA?
Yeah.
That's another. Well, I always felt like they kind of got the short end of the stick because they were from Indiana. Yeah. And they weren't one of the coast bands. You know what I mean?
They were a good band, though. I mean...
Yeah. I used to see that. The guy who was the bass player on the second record?
I don't...
Marks. He was the only lineup change they had when they were in MCA. But
he's not even on the cover of Temptation.
Yeah. He had a killer band out of Chicago called Def Con that I used to go see.
Okay.
I remember Dennis DeYoung from Styx had produced their demos. Man, they were awesome, dude. They were so good live. He was a great singer. He was the lead singer / bass player.
Wow.
But man, if you could ever find that stuff,
I'll look it up. Definitely.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They were killer songs, awesome harmonies. With the total shredder guitar. All the Chicago stuff at that point was all dual guitar. Yeah, shredder stuff, and they were one of the best.
That's cool. I mean, Sweet FA went from, they only did the first album on MCA, and then the second one was on South Gang's label on Charisma.
Oh, Charisma! I forgot about that. They changed. Right.
I think there were many variables that kind of hurt them. So, and the second album.
Yeah, I mean that was a tough that was a tough period too, man. It was one of those ones where I always felt bad for the bands that didn't really quite knock out of the park on the first record, because the second album sometimes just seemed like they were like a gimme, like, yeah, we're gonna let you do one, but we're not really gonna do anything with it. Well, it's just gonna be we're floated out there so your contract's void.
Exactly. I mean, the worst one is they let them do, like, say Toro Toro. Here, we'll put out the two albums, and then you can go start recording the other one, and then nothing. You're out of your contract.
Oh, and we're just not going to put it out. Yeah, that was great. Did you see they split from Frontiers?
Yes.
I was really shocked by that, man. I really liked that. I mean, that record's super lo-fi.
I love it.
But I thought that Bastards of Beale record was really cool, man. There's some great songs on that.
There was. I have the. I don't know if you have the vinyl. I have the vinyl of it. I thought they did a really good job on it. I mean, the people complain about the sound, but I mean, I've talked to Anthony about that, and he said that's how they wanted it. They wanted it to sound like that. So
it just sounds like a band jamming in a garage to me.
Yeah,
and that's what they sound like live. I mean, they're just a really good rock and roll band.
Exactly. So I think the issue with Frontiers is the fact, and Roxy Blue was the same thing, that they they let them do the album, and they put the album out, and they'll let them do, they'll release like 3 singles, and sometimes you'll get a video, sometimes you won't. But then in 2 months, they've moved on to 4 other bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Frontiers is a volume business, man. There's just always something in the pipeline. Usually, like, several things in the pipeline. I can't really fault their business model, though, because they continue to do it, and they do it at a high level. But I do feel like I agree, man. Some of that stuff just kind of gets shuffled off and on to the next. Yeah. And it's like, man, I mean, that may just be a product of, the consumer environment right now too, man. It's just such a tough thing. I mean, we put this record out in October, and the whole idea was, if we're not going to be able to do shows, we're going to have to find ways to keep people talking about it. So, we're just going to keep doing videos and keep doing podcasts and keep doing, trying to get stuff coverage. Like, I can't tell you how many people have, like, messaged me back and said, why are you still sending out copies of your album for reviews? Like, man, because what else can we do? Nobody's.
That's awesome.
It's still a new review. Yeah, I mean, and that's, it used to be back in the day, you put a record out and you would tour on it for 2 years, and then you would think about doing another one. We don't. All we can do at this stage of the game, especially with the current environment, is to find these little ways to, push it up the hill without actually going out and plugging in and playing it. And these are the avenues, and it's a band like that you think having the power of a label as big as Frontiers, clearly an international thing, that, man, their CDs are in Walmart.
Yeah.
Most aren't. So to have that behind you, and then all they do is just drop it and put out some press releases and, like you said, a video or 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And then just move on. It's like, then you can't. But I mean, I think maybe they just figure all the diehards are going to buy it in the first month, and then that's it, you know.
I think that might be the right analogy, really, is that, yeah, the diehards, the people that are following the band and still following them, they are going to buy it in the first month. It's just, I mean, when, for us, thinking back to the old days when you pushed an album and kept it going kind of thing, right? That it's, I think for them maybe too, that's kind of how they wanted it to be, where, you know, they could really build on the momentum of it and keep it going, right? I mean, it's 2 years now that it's been out, so.
I thought they did a pretty good job of, at least regionally, they did some shows, they got out and they were on festivals and stuff. But that's really about all you can do. That's the one thing I feel bad for, you know, and I know people hack on them a lot, you know, for keeping the band out there without Donnie, but, you know, enough's enough. They just go.
They keep going.
And go and go. And I don't know if it's like, hey, man, we got a bucket of chicken wings and $50 in Idaho.
Let's do this.
I need you there in 3 hours kind of thing. Chip will find a way to get there because he just wants to keep that name alive.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to do, man.
No.
Because, we're at such a low level. We're several rungs on the ladder below them. And you know, we have to be careful because it's not like you got to subsidize those gigs with something. You can't, you know, gas does not just appear in your band's tank. So it's really hard. I can't imagine being the guys in Tora Tora that, you know, at least at one point had major labels backing and had management and agents and all those things that do all that stuff for you. And they say, hey, man, now it's on you. Make a go of it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it's tough, man. It's really, what Chips Enough should do is go into management and booking. That's what.
Yeah, you should be.
And then you would see Tora Tora tours, and Roxy Blue tours all over the place. He's such a gregarious, like outgoing. I mean, the dude can sell. What's the expression? Snow to an Eskimo or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got that thing. We played a show with them in Memphis. It was probably like 3 years ago now. Mm-hmm. Right around the time we were doing this record we had an independent deal with Kibble Records for an album, and we were just getting ready to put it out. So we'd done this little outdoor summer thing, and it was them and the Bullet Boys were the headliners. And we were just talking. He's just one of those guys, man. It was a long story. But anyway, we ended this deep conversation about records coming out, and they were getting ready to put something else out too. And he said, well, man, our label's in Nashville. I didn't even know Frontiers had an office here at that point.
I didn't know that.
He goes, if you want me to hook you up with whatever the guy's name, Nick. And I said, man, no, we just signed this thing. He goes, well, how are you liking it? I said, well, I don't know yet. It's not out yet. So I don't know how I like it. I said, I just know I like the fact that somebody else is handling our business for a change, and I don't have to do all of it. So I'll let you know. Ask me again in 6 months kind of thing. But he's just a hustler, you know. Yeah. He was, you know, I was like, I appreciated the offer to, you know, broker that communication and everything. But I was like, man, I don't know what I think of Frontiers Records, man, because I feel like we would be such a low priority, even if they were to even take a meeting with us, that if they can't give Tora Tora the full shake, what are they going to do with a band like us, with a bunch of nobodies, you know?
Yeah. Right.
It's like those guys actually had legit success and multiple videos off of 2 different records and stuff. So it's a weird time, man. The whole idea of putting something out and then trying to find a way to promote it that's unique and is actually going to get people's attention, man. We're just throwing stuff against the wall at this point.
Yeah,
you know, I think a lot of people are.
I mean, I'm one of those people that just wants to see straight ahead hard rock come back and be, you know, like, I don't want to turn on the radio anymore and hear the same songs I've been hearing for the last 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? Not that I mind hearing them, but I'd like to hear newer rock mixed in with that as well. Of course, there's Greta Van Fleet and there's certain other bands, but to me, you know, I'd like to hear also the bands that, you know, that were around before that are putting out albums and getting people to know that they're out there, or bands like you guys that I really like on the radio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a few of those that have snuck through. I mean, like you said, there's Greta Van Fleet, but then you've got stuff like Dirty Honey and stuff that
just cool.
Kind of defies the odds and somehow gets on the radio. I don't even know how that happened because you just don't see that anymore. And they weren't even signed.
Yeah.
So that's even more crazy. So somebody must have deep pockets or they just got really lucky. But either way, the fact that even gets on the radio, I remember somebody sent me that first single and I was like, what do you mean this is on the radio? This can't be on the radio. I mean, because it was rock and roll.
Yeah.
It wasn't like watered down, wrapped in rock and roll production, rock and roll. It was a straight rock and roll song. It sounded like Tora Tora.
That's cool.
It sounded like Aerosmith with Anthony Corder on vocals or something. It's like, what is this? So they do sneak through every once in a while. It's just like there's not a place for them to live. You know what I mean? There's like no. It's like the programmers. They don't. It's like there's no. You know what I mean? There's just not a platform for it.
I know. And to me it feels like okay. It's like a plane taking off and then never quite finishing. It doesn't actually take off. It's going, and then you think, okay, this Greta Van Fleet thing's coming. Dirty Honey. Okay, there's going to be, like back in the day, there'd be 5 more of that type of band, right? But that
what happened with Buck Cherry when they came out.
Yeah.
And you had New American Shame, and there were a handful of other bands that kind of grabbed and tried to run with it.
That's right.
And I mean, Buck Cherry's still standing. I mean, one of them is still standing, but but I mean, there's still a going thing. But I mean, how many of those other bands from that era that tried? I mean, Jet even that did sell a bunch of records.
Yeah. Well, look,
gone.
Remember when The Darkness came out?
Same thing,
right? And you thought, oh, okay, these guys are doing, like I may not like his voice a whole lot. It's a little bit different. I got used to it. But they're doing, the rock thing again, and this is what I'd love to hear. But like you said, Buck Cherry, The Darkness. I mean, Greta Van Fleet's doing okay. I mean, you're still hearing what they're doing on the radio.
Yeah,
but I'd just like to hear more. I'd just like to hear more.
Yeah, it would just be nice if, like you said, though, there are veteran bands that still put out quality stuff, and with the exception of a band like, I mean, I guess you could kind of. I mean, Motley Crue, when they did that Saints of Los Angeles, which has been several years now,
2008,
they're at least big enough that they can get
airplay.
Radio will touch them. You know what I mean? They'll play a new song.
Yeah.
But that's about it, man. Guns N' Roses, I'm sure if they were to drop a new single, which who knows if that'll ever happen, it would get some attention because it's Guns N' Roses and it's almost like, oh, this is a novelty. Guns N' Roses finally did a new song.
Yeah.
But, even Def Leppard, who managed to hold on to a major label deal for years, they couldn't get arrested on the radio.
No, they can't. And like Sammy Hagar, you don't really hear Sammy Hagar doing
same thing.
You don't hear him.
Yeah, The Circle comes out and nobody plays it. You only where you're going to see that is on some like specialty program.
That's right. Or even Tesla. Tesla's still, I mean, I really liked their last album, Shock, which was, that
was the Phil Collins produced.
And some of the fans bitched about it and said, oh, you can hear the Def Leppard. And I'm like, the more I listened to it, I just thought it was one of their best albums they've done in a very...
The only thing you hear, the Def Leppard thing was just evident in the backing vocals and stuff. And that's just because they have a thing. They're applying the mutt-laying magic. I wouldn't blame them. If I had Phil Collins work on my record, I'd want that sound. That's why I would have called him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I agree with you 100%. And the thing is, people don't realize that, those... Jeff Keith isn't the only one in that band that can sing. Like Frank Hannon's a great singer, and Dave Rudd. I'm pretty sure Dave Rudd, he sings very well too. So they can pull it off.
Yeah, that's another one of those cases of it that it doesn't really add up when you see what they can do as far as their drawing power live. It's like these bands can't get played on the radio, but Tesla can still sell out the Ryman Theater here. You know what I mean? And they can do multiple nights.
Yeah.
The Darkness even comes here and can sell out Marathon Music Works, which is not a small room.
But
the Cult is the same way, but they're treated like a nostalgia act.
Yeah.
They just don't, we'll play, whatever the, Little Devil or something off of Electric, but we're not going to play the new Cult song. It's like, okay, that makes sense. At least some stations used to do that two-for thing where they play an old song and a new song.
Oh, I like that.
And that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
But you don't even hear that anymore. I mean, maybe you do because I don't listen to the radio anymore because of that.
I don't listen to a lot of radio, I admit it. I don't because I got fed up, right? I'm just like... just hearing the same thing. I always thought the purpose of radio was to promote new music, It used to be,
it was at one point.
Right? That's what the premise of radio was, to get it out to the masses. If you have a new album, here it is, and you can hear it, right? But now radio is a format to play bands that who've been on the radio for 40 years.
Yeah, the bands have become the commercial, and the commercials that play between the bands are the focus of the radio station anymore. And that's not a new thing, I guess, but I just miss the fact that, I still talk to, there are several, just from years of playing shows and stuff and doing events and, becoming friends with these guys, I still talk to several different DJs from markets that we played through. And it's, these guys are all working and stuff still, but most of them have like morning shows and you know what I mean? It's like, it's moved on to, because now you can just put, and this is no offense to people that work in radio, because I have several friends that do, but now you can just get somebody's in there that's got enough training to push the buttons to queue up the playlist and the program and record some bits, for commercials or voiceover stuff. And that's all you need. The personality is all going on to do these other things. Yeah. It used to be all those guys, you knew those guys, they had their shows. It wasn't just a show in the morning. There was a personality there all the time, almost. Yeah, at least during prime time hours.
Like you think back to WKRP in Cincinnati with Dr. Johnny Feet,
exactly,
sitting at the desk, taking the album off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you remember how many times you'd see him doing that, and then speaking as he's putting the needle down on the record.
Yeah, and I miss that, man. I miss that. We would go in and do, you'd go and do a radio interview and stuff, and it was cool, and even to hear your song. It's cool to hear stuff on internet radio and stuff too. It's great when that stuff happens and you get, somebody latches onto it and plays it. But there's nothing like, sitting in your car, 5 miles from the station and hearing a track getting played. You know what I mean? It's like that's just there's then those, I don't know if those days even, I'm sure there's, like you said, there's bands out there that are still hoofing it and making that kind of stuff happen for themselves. But man, it used to be a thing. And I don't mean to be like that grumpy guy, the get off my lawn guy. I'm not at all.
I don't think we are. From doing my show, we're not the only, you're not the only person that feels this way, right?
Yeah, I would hope not.
No, definitely not. I have guys that come on and, will say, I don't want my stuff on Spotify. I prefer not to. I would prefer you go out and buy my album. But which could be suicide because, any listener's a good listener. But I also get what they're getting at. You know what I mean?
No, that's a tough call, man, because I've watched bands that have actually pulled their stuff from it. Or refused to do it. And in fact, I've just watched a local act here in the last 2 weeks that actually put up a thing saying, look, this is why we're taking our stuff off of Spotify. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I checked back in 3 times like a troll to read the comments on it. Because I just want to get, I want to gauge the temperature on that kind of stuff. I'm not looking to pull our stuff because that's not where we make our money anyway. We just accepted that, and it is what it is. But it's interesting to see younger acts that, their aspirations are far greater than ours in terms of what they want out of their career. They're on the front end of this. We're on the back end of it. And I look at them and I see people saying stuff like, well, you just lost a fan because that's how I discovered you. It's like, well, then you weren't really a fan. All they're saying is, look, we just want to get paid for, because man, let's face it, even if you have, everybody else says that it's the same thing every time. Well, man, you can make albums for cheap now, man. You can do all your stuff in your house. Well, you can do that. It can be done that way, but that's not the way all these albums that you love when you were growing up were made. We want to make albums like that. That's the stuff that inspired us. Yeah. We want to go in and make, and we have to do it. We do have to do that kind of stuff. And when you get done with that, it does sting to put it up. And then, I like the day after I send out review copies, I see Russian websites. It's, a month and a half we're supposed to come out, and somebody's already got a torrent.
Really?
For it. It's like, man, that stuff stings, man. It's like, we just spent months working on this. And then the same thing. It's almost less insulting because at least they're pushing your name. Spotify just puts it out there and collects the money, and then you get these, oh my God, those statements. That's like, I'd rather read my own obituary than read my Spotify. It's just sad.
So understand how they get away with it, and they do, and it just I mean,
it's just math, you know?
Yeah, it's horrible. But you know what? I have a good buddy of mine who always, we were speaking of being a fan, and someone would say to him, "Oh, I'm a big fan of that band." He goes, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I just took their album off of YouTube." So he'd look at them and he'd honestly say to them, he'd go, "So you're a fan, eh?" He'd go, "Yeah. So did you buy anything to support the band, or you just took it off of YouTube and got it for free?" "Well, I got it for free." "Well, you're not a fan then." Like, he's very blunt about it. Very, he's like, okay, if you're a fan of the band, you want to support what they're doing, because they're not doing it for free. They're trying to make a living, and by us buying the album, that's helping them, so that, you're buying their album and they can make a living, and they'll be out touring and you'll get to go see them and whatnot. And if we don't do that, that's not going to be there anymore, right? So,
yep.
And I totally agree with them. And so, so Spotify, for me, I get why an artist would want it on there and you wouldn't pull it, but it also burns my ass, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, it's like I said, it's the ultimate of the double-edged sword in the music business, man. You're all about trying to make as many impressions as you possibly can, good or bad. You just want people to know that you're out there. And that's, arguably, I'm assuming, statistically, it's the biggest of the streaming platforms. I don't know that for a fact, but...
Yeah.
I just know that when you go to post a link, if you try to preview something, that's the one that most likely, people are going to be able to check. Like Apple Music, you never know. You put it up and it's like, I don't have Apple Music, I can't listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but you never hear anybody say about Spotify, because everybody has access to Spotify by a free account or whatever.
I don't even use Spotify. I think it's on my computer. I don't have it. It's on there, but I never go on it because I have Amazon Music. I pay for that, but.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
But the point is, I'm not paying that much for it.
But no, I just got my bill today from my Apple Music. It's $10 or whatever, $10.97 a month or something like that, and I gladly pay it.
Yeah,
because that's how I find if I want to go buy stuff.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. That's the point I make, and I say if I preview it on Amazon Music. If I like it, I order it. And I go to Amazon and I order it most of the time, or go to the band website or whatever. However I can get it, to make sure that I've bought that physical copy regardless, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's not I don't think putting your stuff up on streaming services is like a deal with the devil or anything. No. It's just part of, the cost of doing business in the 21st century, man. You've got to allow for the fact that you're just going to get, you're going to get taken a little bit. It's just it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I wish it was back to the days when you were deciding whether or not you want to press 1,000 CDs or 5,000 CDs. But it's not. Now it's, do I want to press 300 CDs or none at all? I won't name names in this, but I had a discussion with a buddy of mine that has a project with a high profile guy, that is just now starting to wrap up, and their first single's out, and they're talking about not doing any kind of physical product at all whatsoever. And I just said, man, I'm telling you, it's a bad idea, because because he's playing with a guy that has not really trafficked in the streaming world yet, and I think he just assumes that it's going to pay the way record royalties paid back in the day. And it's like, man, that's it's just not, man. It doesn't. You need to have product. You're going to have some kind of product. Don't go pressing 10,000 CDs, or but you're going to have product, because you want to recoup on your investment in any way, shape, or form. You're going to need physical product, because there are still people that care about that.
Yeah.
Everything else is a vehicle to moving that and to getting your name out there. The streaming thing, if you're hoping that's going to pay your car payment for the month, man, I hope you're rolling cheap, man.
You're riding a bicycle, man.
Yeah, exactly. You might get something nice huffy out of that. But otherwise,
Oh, that's good. So let's. You know what? We haven't even mentioned the name of the album for people that are looking for it.
No wonder I can't sell anything, man. The streaming services, I only promote Butch Walker.
Yeah,
I should get on his payroll.
That was my fault. I'm sorry. I totally got us on Butch Walker. It's okay though. Butch will be happy. He just sold a bunch of albums today. So
Yeah, you're welcome, Butch.
yeah, this is to you, Butch. Okay, Everybody Moves. Nobody Gets Hurt. Great title, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, it's the follow up to 10 and 2.
10 and 2
from 2018. 10 and 2. You kind of mentioned that you guys had kind of changed your sound. Is between those two albums, was it a difference in sound?
It wasn't as dramatic. I mean, we'd already kind of established our identity, I think. 10 and 2 was the first record we did that was the real full-blown, guitar rock kind of thing. We were trying to make like like Rock and Roll Over, one ballad and then 9 rock songs kind of thing. And that was kind of the mold we were going. We ended up with a bonus track on it, but that was just because we had an extra song that we felt good about. But we wanted to really streamline it and make that because what had happened is we had gotten out and done a lot of shows, and we were getting put on these bills with a lot of the 80s rock acts and stuff.
Yeah.
And up until that point, we only had a handful of material that really would jive in those settings. We had a lot of stuff that was kind of a little too light or too this, too that. So I was like, if we do this stuff well, we might as well just let's try and focus on this one and just really, weed it down to just the stuff just the rock. We're going to be a hard rock band. We're trying to be a hard rock band for once and really just own it.
Yeah.
So we did that, and same thing. We went out and we did a bunch of, we played with everybody from, Loverboy to Bullet Boys, anybody in between.
Yeah.
So, and we have the ability to shift gears. If somebody says, hey, you want to open for the Jayhawks or something, we could do that too. If we'd have to lean on the earlier material and the strummier stuff. So, it gives us a little bit of flexibility, but in terms of like the progression from that record to the new record, man, it was just a matter of, there's a kind of a weird backstory to it. I'll try and encapsulate this as quickly as I can. But so we had done 10 and 2, and we had done these little digital singles in between of new stuff that we were, kind of testing the waters with the streaming thing and seeing if we could, just do that in between records to kind of keep people interested until we were ready to do another LP. So we were doing that, and then I had started on a solo record that was a little more in the Gaslight Anthem, Springsteen kind of vein, where it was a little more of a singer-songwriter thing. Yeah. And so I started working on that, and in the middle of that, I ended up getting, I was having voice issues at gig. We were still doing shows this whole time, and I was having some real pronounced issues with my voice. So I went to an ENT, and I found I had polyps on my vocal cords and had to have surgery. So I kind of went in and limped my way through the last few vocals on the solo record, which is a whole saga unto itself, and got that done and put it out. And then in January of this last year, I went in and had the surgery, which required me to have 2 months of recovery. Yeah. And went right back to shows. But in the midst of all that, we had started tracking. We decided we were going to go ahead and do an album. We thought we had enough songs. And when the pandemic thing started to shape up, it's like, oh, we're not going to be gigging, man. This is going to go longer than we thought. We with no obvious window into the future in terms of how this is going to play out. I pulled a bunch of stuff off the shelf that I had been sitting on that I thought was not really us. It was like too layered or too weird. A lot of stuff that had synthesizers and stuff in it, and weird, odd stuff that we couldn't do with just 4 guys.
Right.
Because I thought, well, we're not probably going to tour this thing. We're just it's going to come out and it's going to kind of sink to the bottom. So I just cleaned off my shelf of stuff that I had been wanting to do for a long time that I'd held back. And then Kenny brought in a handful of really great songs, and it ended up being this kind of a mishmash, honestly, and we were really confused about how to sequence it, because it was a lot more, this was a little more ambitious than if the other album was Rock and Roll Over, this was more like Destroyer. Okay. It had all kinds of stuff on it. We brought in backup singers, and it was we went the opposite direction they did.
It was a little bit more Bob Ezrin.
Right. Right. Yeah, because we were doing a lot of it by swapping files in different studios because of the shutdowns and stuff. So we were just sending stuff back and forth, and I would do my guitars here, and keyboards and stuff here, and then we would have our piano player we'd send him the tracks. He would knock out his parts. We had Kenny running a fantastic, just amazing soul singer to do some harmonies on one track. She did her whole thing remote at home, sent us the files. They were gorgeous, and that stuck. So it was like really, other than the drum tracks and the basic tracking stuff, was very piecemeal. We just had to kind of, a few screws here, a couple bolts here kind of thing. And our engineer, we had two engineers on this record that worked on it, but Michael, our mix engineer, between him and Joshua Ketchmark, they tied it all up with a bow. And when it was done, it was just a matter of how do we get these songs in a sequence. Right. You know what I mean? Like to make it all. And we've settled on one that, at least as far as I can tell, seems to be working. But I just kind of figured we're going to put it out there, and we would do our best to promote it. And if we were lucky, we would make enough money back to do another one. Right. And it worked. And it's all right. That's the name of the track, right? Yeah, and that's the first track. That's the video we just shot. It just came out this week. So so that's that. We all of those, man. That's a great song. Thank you, man. And there are a couple that I'm All Right and Lydia were actually the only two brand new songs that I brought in. Those are the only two. I think everything else that's on there were songs that, like In the Wreckage, which is one of the acoustic ballads on it. That was an outtake from 10 and 2 that never got finished. I didn't have, there were a couple lines of lyrics that I didn't like. So I went in and finished that one up, and that was going to go on my solo record, but it didn't get done at the same time. So it was anyway, just a matter of that record was kind of like it was just a hodgepodge, man. Kenny came in with like really great, him and Patrick, our now ex-guitar player that played on this record, they came in with a really cool, their stuff was tied up. They knew what they wanted to do, kind of thing. Mine was just like, well, I got this one and this one and this, and none of them, cool, but they wouldn't have gone together in my head. They were they were all they would have been good singles, right? Just not great album tracks. And somehow or other, Michael did a mix where it made sense. And when we got done, I was like, wow, it's a lot more logical than I thought it was going to be. So I was real happy with it, and am real happy with it. So, yeah. I was going to mention Believe in Ghosts. That one, when I listened to it, I kind of thought it had like a Keith Urban vibe. I think it's the phrasing in the verse. No, honestly, to me, Keith Urban is kind of a crossover from country to rock. I think without kind of his production, I think he could totally be a rock artist. I think it would all be. I mean, there's certain. Oh yeah, man, right? I'm a fan. So I'm a fan too. I take that as a compliment. He's a little fellow, man. I saw him I was walking out. I had lunch with a buddy of mine across town one day, and I was walking out. It was the weirdest thing. I swear to God, he has like a halo or something. I'm walking through this ML Rose, this little bar across town, and he had just sat down, and no one's, it's Nashville's kind of like Hollywood. People don't like crowd you because there's too many celebrities here, so they kind of leave people. And he's sitting in a big giant booth by himself. He looked like he was about 5 feet tall. I'm sure he's not. He's probably much bigger than that. But I swear to God, man, he was like dolled up. Really? Like, to the nines, man. Like he probably wasn't. That's just what he looks like. But it was like, man, is he glowing? It's the weirdest thing. I swear to God, the guy's glowing. Maybe this is where the light was positioned, but no one was bugging him. He's just sitting there minding his business, checking his emails or something. Yeah, that's good. I almost stopped and said, hey, but no, I didn't. So anyway, so I take that as a compliment, man. I'm a fan, and that was certainly not intentional. I was going for like the heavy metal Bee Gees on that one with the super tight harmony thing. But okay, well, you know what? I'll listen to it again. But it was just, I think it was the phrasing in the verse that I was kind of like, oh, that kind of reminds me of Keith Urban. But that's cool. I'll take that. Yeah. No, I've had a couple other reviews that said it mentioned a country thing to it, and I first I was kind of confused. Like, okay, I kind of hear it. Some of the strumming and I guess the vocal cadence thing a little bit too. It's not quite I can see where they get that, but I think maybe they are terming Keith Urban type of thing because, like I said, he could be a crossover rock artist. Yeah, I mean, what is country anymore anyway? I mean, I don't even know how you define that at this stage of the game. I mean, my take on it now is like you can take a rock song and
Just put some fiddles and steel guitar on it, and you've got yourself. Oh yeah,
that's Bon Jovi.
And a singer with a twangy voice, and you've got a country song. So I mean, it's not the country my dad listened to when I was a kid.
No.
No,
for sure.
It is, but I mean, I don't dislike it. Some of it I don't like, some of it I do. So it all depends what it is.
Hey, I'm a song guy, man. I say the same thing every time. To me, it's a song by song basis. It doesn't matter what name is on it, as long as it's not Adolf Hitler. I'll give it a spin. And I just like. I mean, it's a good hook, man. It gets me every time. I don't care. It doesn't even necessarily have to do with the performance. Although sometimes the performance can get a really mediocre song over, but. I just always go to the hook, man. The hook comes first.
Yeah, I agree with you. Someone sent me a country song last night and said, here, check this song out. And I turned it on, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Really liked it because it had a great hook. And I can't remember who the artist was. I had never heard of them, but I really dug it. I thought it was a good song. And I came back and said, yeah, that's a killer song. And then the person proceeded to tell me all the lyrics because it was a girl, and she really liked the song, and she knew all the words, and I was like, holy cow, you really do like that song.
Well, that could be the deal breaker for me, man. Honestly, as far as the country thing goes, it's a lot less about the sheen of the production or the wardrobe or whatever. Sometimes to me, what kills it, the best melody in the world is, and then you come in with some stupid lyric, and it's like, man, you had me there. Just and then you just lost me. And that's a really tough one to get around because it's so. Obviously, I'm in Nashville, and I do some of these co-write things. I don't do as much as I used to, but I go on these co-writes, and somebody would throw a thing out, and it's like, oh God, really? Are we gonna come on?
Yeah, there was a song by a Canadian artist who went down to Nashville, and Chad Kroger, I believe, helped her write a song, and it was called "Bound Chicka Wow Wow." And I was just like, I can't get past that title. Well, and then someone said, well, it's a good song. I said, I can't. Maybe it is, but I can't get past that title. It's too. How do you put it? I don't even know how to term that. It's just too over the top for me.
Way to hold your ground, man.
It's just like, no, I don't get it. It's just not me. I don't care what the song sounds like. When you're saying "Bound Chicka Wow Wow," you've lost.
Yeah. Yeah, unless it's like a commercial for like a dog food or something. Maybe I could let it slide because it wouldn't really matter. But if that's going to be, you're going to put that as your foot forward as your new single. I can't get behind that kind of stuff. I mean, to each his own. Yeah. There's tons of people like that, and that's why people keep writing that kind of stuff. So, I have I don't hold anything against them for it. I just don't want to listen to it. Yeah. So, that's why anybody, we get a bad review or somebody says, I don't really care for what you do. I don't get, it doesn't hurt my feelings, man. It's like, that's fine. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those people that may give you a bad review might like "Bound Chicka Wow Wow." So,
yeah, we got one yesterday from Denmark, and they compared us to Roxette. And I think it was meant to be insulting, and I love Roxette. So do I. So that's fine. I don't care.
That's a great song.
They had tons of great songs.
There's a whole bunch of them. You're right. Yeah.
So I put that one in my pocket, man. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's a cool comparison. They were kind of, they were a popular band, but people don't talk about them anymore.
No, I would never have thought to draw a parallel to us, but they did. I'm not really sure how much of an arrow that was supposed to be, but I don't think it was meant to be a pat on the back, but I'm still taking it as one. So cool by me.
Exactly. I was going to say, you guys use B3, Hammond organ.
Yeah, we got a guy, his name is Michael Webb, and he plays for all kinds of people. He's played on Chris Stapleton records. He played for John Fogerty. He was in Poco for a long time. Oh, and he is he's a master, man. He's played on so many records I couldn't even begin to run down the list, but, and he's just a bud that will do stuff for a reasonable rate and always does good work. I've used him on my solo stuff. We've used him on all our records. Kenny uses him on his stuff. Yeah, he's great, man. And it's one of those things where it's really,
man.
Oh, but it's so. You know what sucks though? We don't play the tracks. We play 100% live. Yeah. And we don't have a live keyboard player. And I always hear his keys in those songs in my head when we're doing them, and I miss them. It's the only time I've ever been tempted to use tracks live, it would be to put his keyboard parts in, because they're so badass every time.
It's just that tone is just, there's just something about it, right?
Yeah, and it's a real Leslie cabinet, man. It's loud, dude. When we do those, sometimes we'll sit in on the sessions, man, and it sounds, when you're in there and you can hear that thing breathing and moving and stuff, it's so cool.
Wow. Well, there used to be this band in the 90s, and when Brother Kane came up to Canada, when they toured on the Seeds album, when they came up here, they brought this band with them called the Buffalo Brothers, and they were from London, Ontario. Anyways, they were a 4-piece band: drummer, guitar player, bass player, and a B3 Hammond player. Well, like, the first time I heard them, I was like, oh my God, these guys are amazing. There's B3. Like, yeah. But you should have seen them. It took 4 guys to cart. Like, he had the full organ. Like, it was insane. So I was like, the whole band had to try and carry this thing in, and then they toured with that. I mean,
dude, our engineer, Michael St. Leon, he is in a Allman Brothers tribute band called Midnight Riders,
right?
And they use a B3, a real B3, the real Leslie cabinet, and it is exactly what you said. And the crazy thing is, they've tracked at his studio, but to get to his studio, it's not tough geographically to get there, but once you get there, getting down his driveway is enough of a thing. And I've had discussions with him before about people bringing those things in for sessions where they've had cartage like deliver it and backed trucks down there. And I thought, man, if I don't, I can't imagine trying to unload one of those things. And they're not spring chickens. These are not young guys, and they haul one of those to every gig unless it's just physically impossible. And then they've got like a Nord or something that's the closest, facsimile to that. But yeah, they take it every single time.
So let's go to, Worn Out Souls. That has a Bad Company feel to it. Which was really cool. The piano with the vocal in the intro. And I love, like I said, I love Bad Company. So hearing that was very appealing.
Now, Kenny does that Paul Rogers thing vocally really well. That's like that's his niche, man. And he sings, the songs that he sings on, man, they're always going to have a little bit of that Paul Rogers thing to him. But when he brought that one, it was like, oh, that's straight up Bad Company. That's about as close as it's going to get. I love that tune.
Yeah, that is a great song. And no one really sounds like Bad Company anymore, so that's a very appealing thing to me.
Somebody's got to fill that real estate, man, and we're here to be the next band out. That's a tough one to cover, man. I think there's a reason nobody sounds like Bad Company, because that's such a singular thing, Plus, Paul Rogers' voice it's kind of like Glenn Hughes or something. It's a force of nature that.
Yeah,
it can't be recreated, kind of thing. But yeah, that's one of the ones we're shooting a video for. That may be next in line. But he brought that in and we demoed it out. We did it here, and I played the piano on the demo.
Oh, cool.
And I thought it just for to get it done, to have it so we could layer in some parts. But when the Michael Webb version came back, I wanted to cry. It was so awesome. I was like, man, we're not doing that live because I can't do what he did. So this one's going to have to go on the injured reserve list until we have a keyboard player. But I love that tune, man. It was plus the lyric in it, he really nailed that vibe. That's a really great lyric too. I would have been happy with the song even if he just, I told somebody else it was just a spoken word piece. It's a great lyric.
Yeah, you wouldn't put Bound Chicka Wow Wow on that song.
No, you could probably slide it in there with a wah pedal or something.
Well, maybe. They use it. Actually, I think there is wah in that guitar part.
Of course there is. God. It gets even worse.
Oh yeah, I remember when it came out. I remember getting by, and I'm sorry we went back to that, but I remember, I just thought of this one.
I'm going to have to go listen to the song when we get off the phone because I have no idea what it sounds like.
The artist is Megan Patrick, and no offense to her, she's actually from Canada, and she is from a town close by to where I am. And anyways, my wife at the time, it came on, and I said, what is this? She goes, well, this is Megan Patrick from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. I was like, oh, yeah? This is her first single? Yeah. Okay, well, she just committed suicide, but... And then I found out Chad Kroeger played a part in it, and I was like, okay, well, that kind of... I love Nickelback, but that kind of makes sense. So. I can see where, it's just, I mean, and I hate to say that because, sometimes though, I think as years have gone on, artists' credibility, sometimes I kind of, it gets under my skin that it's like, you really release this. Wow. It's like Mr. Roboto, right?
Yeah, and they paid the price for that, and it's one of those things that sometimes it works, and sometimes, like you said, the credibility comes into question. I guess it's a matter of how well the exercise pays off.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you made enough money to live with it, then I guess it's okay. I don't know. I mean, I've never had anybody ask me to do anything really like put my own voice or face on something that was really embarrassing. So I don't know what that feels like. But I imagine I would have to do some serious soul searching before I would step to the mic for a boom chicka wow wow. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could do that, man. I mean, I probably would look at the check and see how many zeros were on it, and then evaluate from there. But I don't know. That's a tough one.
It was. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I can imagine. I wonder what she thought when she first heard it. Or maybe she had a part in writing it. I don't really know. I can't remember. I'd have to look at that. But, I mean, it's funny, too, because you speak of those things. Like, we're talking about Mr. Roboto by Styx. Aerosmith's a funny one, too, because you have 70s Aerosmith, which was, you had those diehard Aerosmith fans. And then the 80s come, and they become a little bit more commercial. And then they put it, Get a Grip, and there's 3 ballads, Crying Crazy Amazing, all on one album. That, it kind of, did that tarnish their credibility a bit? I think it did, in a way of, you have fans that go, I only like the 70s Aerosmith. Like John Corabi, for instance, like he likes Aerosmith, but it's more the 70s Aerosmith. It's not the Aerosmith ballad band. You know what I mean?
It's a tough one, man, because I like both eras, but if somebody said you had to split it down the middle, you can only have one, I would favor the 70s side of it, because that was, and even only to a point though, man, there's, in terms of like murdering their credibility, I think they did far more damage to their credibility with a couple of those lame later, just pre-comeback records where they were just barely holding on and, falling off the stage and fighting in front of the audience, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know how much more damaging to your credibility you can get than, not being able to complete a performance. But I was fine with I love Permanent Vacation.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Obviously, Pump is just jam-packed with great songs. Get a Grip, I kind of like, but I felt like all 3 of those ballads were interchangeable, man.
Yeah.
They're all kind of the same thing, but man, they had gotten, you know how it is, dude. It's like, it'd be like if, it's changing the formula for Oreos or something, which I guess they do daily now. But I mean, if you're nailing it and it's paying dividends, I guess the idea would be to just keep nailing it. And they had settled into that thing where it was, put out our 4 singles per record, sell. I mean, Get a Grip sold like 8 or 9 million copies or some ridiculous amount. So it's like, how do you argue with that?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of weird. Like on Pump, it was like, okay, they had, you had What It Takes and Janie's Got a Gun, which was a huge hit, but Lovin' and Elevated was a huge hit too, right?
Yep.
So it was okay on that album because you still had that credible, really cool rock song. And then Get a Grip comes out, and the first single's Living on the Edge, which is a cool song. It was a good song.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you've got these three songs that are just like back to back, and the the videos are everywhere, and Liv Tyler.
I was gonna say that's what you hit the nail on the head right there. It's the video thing, man. That was when they truly became a video, when they started doing all the stuff with his daughter and Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, I was like, well, now it's just become a thing, and we're gonna make it into this. So it was kind of transcended the band's identity at that point. They were kind of secondary to the storyline. Those songs were just, I don't know, man. I didn't get to see Aerosmith until they did the co-headlining Motley tour.
Wow.
Years later. For some reason, I had tickets to see them on the Just Push Play tour with Space Hog, and it got canceled. I can't remember what happened to that. Oh, I love those guys.
Yeah. Cool, man.
But that tour for some reason I don't know if somebody got sick or something happened, but it got canceled. And I remember after that, it's kind of like, I'll see him when I see him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And by the time I finally, and they were still great. It was still great, but they were well into the, it was the Honkin' on Bobo tour, I think, was that Motley thing. They were still kind of pushing that. Yeah. And they had tracks, and it was kind of like, I was like very clear this is not the Aerosmith that I fell in love with,
I saw them with Motley. And
they were great.
They were.
I'm not saying they weren't good.
I saw them on the Big Ones tour, actually, when they put out Big Ones.
Oh, yeah.
And that was with Jackal. And that was at like the Rogers Center Sky Dome, so it was a big venue, right? Aerosmith rocked. They were great. It was the first time I'd ever seen them. They were great. Jackal was great. It was a really good show.
Yeah.
But I did see that Motley tour, and I felt it wasn't a good match between the two of them. I think maybe Aerosmith's set list, because it was the Honkin' on Bobo thing, so they were doing some of those songs, and I didn't think they translated that well to the live thing.
They did not.
No, and it was just a weird match. And then Motley Crue comes on with, like these explosives, and just comes on with their show, and it just didn't feel right. It was kind of weird.
Well, Motley was not. The show I saw, Motley was not particularly good that night, and it was real. They were having problems. They had track misfires and weird. There were guitar malfunctions. There was just weird stuff happening. So I felt like they kind of got it, and it was flip flop. I think Aerosmith closed that night. It was Motley first, and then Aerosmith, and it was raining. It was one of those it was an outdoor thing, so it was a whole mess. But it was one of those deals where I just couldn't. The set list was so. I remember I left early.
Really?
I was like, this is just not. Yeah, it's never got momentum. Yeah. There were moments they would bust out an old song that kind of had a little bit of, it just didn't have the mojo. And I remember thinking, and Steven was great. Steven sang great.
Yeah.
But it just didn't have.
That's the same as the show I went to.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was just. I mean, and it's funny. It's set list for the amount of material they have. I think it can either do well for you, or it can be really bad for you if it's not right. Songs on Honkin' on Bobo that chances are a lot of the people there probably haven't bought. There might be 10% of them have bought it, but they've come to...
Yeah, even that.
Yeah, exactly. They've come to hear the classics. They don't want to hear you play an old blues song that you listened to as a teenager, right?
Yeah, man, but that's the thing, though. It's like, how do you... And this is funny, because we have some friends of ours they're about 10 years younger than I am. Well, he's not. She is. He's much older than she is. But anyway, they'll probably listen to this, and I'm going to get skewered for it. But they went to the Vegas residency thing year before last to see him. And I remember her saying something to the effect of she didn't recognize like the first 5 songs they played because they came out and they played pre-MTV era stuff.
Yeah, so the stuff they
so it's like, to me that would have been like keep going.
Yeah.
This is it. So, and it just really highlighted to me the difference in. I mean, it's just an age demographic thing where it's like I have another buddy. He's another podcaster that he grew up on the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Aerosmith, and that's what and I have yet another friend, and that's his whole, he didn't even care about the 70s era. He didn't even want to go back into the 70s Aerosmith. He just wants, that's his thing.
Wow.
So I get it. I mean, that's what it's like Kiss.
Yeah.
I discovered Kiss in the 80s.
Me too.
But I love those albums because I was digesting them as they came out, and so they were new to me. But when I discovered 70s Kiss, my mind was completely blown. And now, if you told me that I had the same thing, if I had you could only have 5 of these albums, they'd all be 70s albums, every one of them.
Yeah, me too. I think totally, and I don't even know if Destroyer would be in there. I'm not. It probably would be. I don't know, because. I mean, I had this conversation on my show last week about Destroyer and how Bob Ezrin is Bob Ezrin, and he totally changed the band, right?
Oh God, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we've had enough of that. We're going to get Eddie Kramer, and we're going to do Rock and Roll Over. I would take Rock,
which is my favorite Kiss album.
No, me too.
That's my favorite one, just for the record.
Yeah, exactly. It's a phenomenal album. I might take Creatures of the Night though, Because I do.
That's my number 2. Those are the 2 that go back and forth.
Okay, and then
exactly.
Revenge is on my list too because I really like that.
That's way down mine.
Is it? Okay.
I know it's super unpopular, man. But I saw that tour and I loved it. At 7th Row Center, it was awesome. But I have mixed feelings about that record. But anyway, go on.
Okay. No, that's cool.
I'm curious.
Then I do have a question for you because I've been asking this a lot because it's actually from the Three Sides of the Coin podcast.
Okay.
Did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss?
I have said that several times, so I guess I should stand by it. I think he did in terms of where they were headed. I mean, look, this is a tough one because I really love those 4 songs that ended up on Killers.
Yeah.
I think they're great. And if they made a whole record that sounded like that instead of The Elder, we might be having a totally different conversation. I don't know.
But I mean, that's so Kulik played on those songs. So
that's what I'm saying. If they had taken that tack, maybe not necessarily make him a band member or whatever, but if they had taken that direction and gone with those kind of songs, and then taken the songs that they gave Wendy O. Williams for her record and made those the rest of it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That would have been awesome. That would have been a great. It would have been a great. Look, this is an unpopular thing too. I've got an ongoing debate with a buddy of mine over this, but I love Unmasked. I think that's great.
I think it's a record. It's fantastic.
Man, if you could just give that a sonic steroid shot, and get, and pump the guitars and the drums up to sound like actual drums and guitars, it'd be a whole different. But there's some great songs on that. The Ace stuff, not so much. But
I love the Ace stuff.
Oh man,
I love
Torpedo Girl.
Torpedo Girl.
I can live with that one. I'll take that one. Torpedo Girl, though, man, I can't.
Yeah, Torpedo Girl.
It's a cool riff.
Yeah.
But, oh my god.
Yeah.
That's where that lyric thing comes back into play for me.
Torpedo Girl, yeah. But Talk to Me, I really like. So.
Yeah, he did have one at least respectable contribution to it at least. But he was so marginalized on that record anyway. But yeah, so if they had gone that direction with the Killers stuff, I might have a different opinion of it. But yeah, man, you really can't deny the back-to-back Creatures Lick It Up thing, man. Those are really
good,
solid songs. And the only thing is, this is my one thing about those 2 records. It's really barely Vinny playing lead on that stuff. Obviously more on Lick It Up, but man, the coolest guitar solo between those 2 records is Rick Derringer's solo on Exciter, and that is in my top 10 all-time guitar solos. That is one of the coolest guitar solos of all time, and that's not even Vinny. So I'll give him credit for the. Oh yeah,
he's on Exciter on
Rick Derringer. Yeah, that's Rick Derringer.
I did
that's
not
Rick Derringer solo.
Okay, well I learned some new Kiss info today. That's cool.
I gave Vinny credit for that for years, and would just jabber on about the solo, and somebody told me that's not Vinny, it's Rick Derringer.
Rick Derringer,
blew my mind.
So good. He's such a
good player. But even that, Vinny cut a solo for it.
Yeah,
they took it off, and they had Rick Derringer put that one on there. Well, I'm glad they did because it's awesome. But so just from a sheer songcraft standpoint, yes, I think he did. I don't know that he saved them, but he definitely turned the ship in the right direction and got them going where they needed to be. But obviously they can do it alone because Animalize, with the exception of a couple duds, is a really good record. And Asylum, I don't care what anybody says about it. There's some great songs on Asylum.
The image hurts that album, I think.
The artwork was not good, and the wardrobe on that tour was an abomination. But yeah.
Mark St. John's playing on the album on Animalize is a little over the top sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not horrible.
But do you ever wonder why that is, though? Because why they wouldn't let Vinny do that? Why did they let him do that all over the place? They totally reined Vinny in,
My understanding is this, and I read this somewhere, it was that Gene was nowhere in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Paul was, because Jean
Beauvoir. Yeah, he played
Beauvoir,
on however you say it, I never know.
Yeah, he plays most of the bass on the album.
Yep.
Gene just came in to do the singing. But I guess Paul would leave Mark in the studio, and more or less Paul would come back, and Mark would he played over everything, and he'd come up with all this stuff. This was kind of from an interview that Mark St. John said. And more or less, Paul said, they were like, you can't do that. Like, this is a Kiss record. This isn't a Mark St. John album. This is a Kiss record. So apparently they had to cut they took a whole bunch of his playing out of it. And I guess possibly they just left the solos of what he had
done. Yeah, that makes sense, man, because it's not like disjointed sound or anything. It just doesn't sound like they always said. I mean, look, that was the one thing about Ace, that even at his worst, his parts were always they were like the song within a song solo. Like they were their own little hooks, man. They were all structured and thought out, and he didn't always execute them at 100% live, but you could sing his solos, and that's something they've never really had that since. Bruce did some cool stuff here and there.
Bruce was cool. Yeah, Bruce got better on Revenge, I think he played really well.
He kind of settled into, Bruce had an identity for the first time on that record. It seemed like he did his thing. Like he found his Kiss sound finally. But although, dude, I love his solos on Asylum, I think, are awesome. I thought that was my other favorite one as far as his playing goes. So he really played cool. So I mean, yeah, I don't know as far as back to the original question, if I would say that he's in every way, shape, or form saved them. I just think that I just felt like that because Creatures is awesome, man, and it's just got balls and it's dirty sounding, and the drum. Oh my god, the drums! That's like so cool. So if they had just, if they could have, and they kind of did keep that, it got more compressed and it never sounded that big again. But yeah, I would give Vinny his props on that. I have to. It's only fair.
No, that's cool. I mean, I had heard that, like getting back to Mark St. John and his playing, I had heard that he couldn't play the same thing twice. He didn't work with his solos. He'd just go in and play them, and then they say, "Well, we need you to do that again or double it." And he's like, "I can't do that. I didn't work it out."
I've met players with that same problem before, so I realize it's a thing. But I mean, I think he just. I hate to say this because I don't mean to speak ill of the dead. I always thought he was an overrated player. Period. I've got that White Tiger album, and it's a mess.
I have it on my wall.
It's awful, man.
It's signed by Mark St. John.
Do you still have the little merch order form where you get the ring?
It's in there. I think it's in there. I have the CD too, but I think it was
I have cassette and vinyl. I think I might have sold the cassette, finally, but I do have the vinyl. Yeah, it's really not. And the solos on that are real all over the place too.
Yeah,
they just sound like he was just kind of throwing stuff at it. So I wouldn't doubt that, man. That's maybe true. That he just made it up and that, one and done, and then have to go back. I mean, look at how Vinny played some of the classic songs live on the Creatures tour. He didn't play the same thing every night.
That's disappointing to me, though, when you're playing Ace Frehley.
Yeah, you don't deviate.
No, because like you said, it's a song in a song.
Yeah, I always thought it was a little bit too. He just kind of was just jerking it on some of those, and it was cool because at the time that was the blazing guitar player thing. I know that's what they were going for live and trying to keep up with the hot shots and stuff. But yeah, those are iconic solos, man. That you start tampering with that stuff, and you're tinkering with your actual formula and the reason people liked it. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised Gene and Paul allowed him to do that. I really am, because this is the first time they've toured without Ace Frehley, right?
Yeah.
On that tour, the Creatures tour. So I'm just kind of surprised that they allowed him to do that. That's disappointing.
Yeah, it's weird because now that he's kind of resurfaced and he's done all these interviews. Well, not so much lately, but those when he first came back out and talked a lot. I kind of was hoping that somebody would ask him, how did you get away with that? Because I always wondered it too. It's like it's an iron fist in every other element of that band.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I worked for them for 2 days.
Oh yeah.
And when they were doing the auction thing, and I had to go in and see. Those guys have complete control over everything. Like Paul in particular is really, their operation. They don't just let stuff slide. And I always thought after meeting them and stuff and seeing how meticulous they've been about their history and their presentation. I mean, they still have Vinny's costumes. So, you know what I mean? Like right down to his clothes. I mean, it was like, how did you let that kind of stuff? I've never understood how they let him just do that unless that was what they wanted. The only thing that makes sense to me is if that's what they wanted. Maybe they were trying to distance themselves from Ace.
That's a good question. That's wild. Huh. I mean, that's another one of those Kiss questions. There's always something around that band that people just want to talk about, like through the eras, right?
Oh God! You got 47, 48 years of ground to cover, and there's still a lot of part of it. I've always thought too why there's so much mystery around them is not just because of the makeup and stuff of that era, because that stuff's all been peeled away now.
Yeah,
but it's the fact that they BS their way through so many interviews for years that it's like you have to unpack how much of that was legit. It's like they give one answer and then 10 years later Paul tells a totally different story about something. So I don't the timeline really, you can't count on like Ace Frehley's book to tell you what really happened because he doesn't remember. Right. So exactly. It's like you got to put Peter's book together with Paul's, and then Gene only talks about himself, so you're not going to really get much from that.
Gene's book wasn't good.
No, but Paul and Ace, Paul and Peter should have had a round table discussion. Just let those two go at it, because that's what those two books were. Was the two of them disparaging one another. But
no kidding.
But I mean there's just so much that's never been really, fully determined as to what happened back then. I mean, like I said, that auction thing was such a weird for me because I was the only fan in their working. I think none of the other guys seemed to really care what they were doing at all, and we're dressing mannequins and handling all this stuff, and I mean I'm just literally crapping my pants probably because I could not believe
that would be
the stuff I was opening up guitars for the first time, that stuff from the 80s that hadn't been. I was jerking around and I was doing the finger tapping Paul solo on the cracked mirror.
No, really?
I took that thing out, that Warlock, and it was beat to shit and all cruddy looking and stuff. And no one even got the joke. I was like, some stupid guitar solo from Animalized Live Uncensored. Everybody's looking at me like an idiot. So I just put it on the stand and went on about my business, unpacked their guitar. But they just didn't, that no one in there cared. And, Tommy Thayer was still working for them at that point. He wasn't in the band. So he was like our manager. He was the one overseeing the whole thing. But it was just this weird, to me, it was like I was literally getting to stroll through history and put my hands on it,
Yeah.
They have all that stuff. So to me, it's just always been odd. Anytime something like Denny was such an anomaly, it's unexplainable to me that he was allowed to just go up there and just note vomit on calling Dr. Love and stuff. It's like what's going on here, man? Who thinks that's cool?
The Brazil show where calling Dr. Love is like almost like a thrash version because it's so fast.
Well, that was always the thing too, man. Kenny and I go because Kenny, our drummer, he was Peter in a Hotter Than Hell in one of the tribute bands for a while. Yeah. So he's done a bunch of those gigs. He's got the costume and stuff at his house. It's cool. But we discussed this on numerous occasions. The fact that all of the tempos came up like 4 BPM when Eric Carr played, and I loved Eric Carr, man. I think he was awesome. He's probably one of the coolest members the band ever had. But yeah, I've never understood that either, man. I saw them several times in the 80s, and at the time it didn't even occur to me that it was fast. But what I mean? But I watch those videos now, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then when Eric Singer kind of came in, he kind of like watching like on a Live 3, for instance.
He reined it way back in on.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's a great. I like that lineup. I like that live lineup. So. And I thought Alive 3 was, I listened to that a lot when it came out.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
I have it on vinyl now too, and I still listen to it occasionally. So
I have a red vinyl that I took to the KISS convention and had everybody sign except for, I don't have Gene's maybe. I remember I brought my Iceman pit guard.
Cool. Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Paul didn't sign a thing. I got everybody else's signatures. I've never played it. I just put a sleeve around it and put it in with my stuff. I've never even put it on the turntable. But I wore out the cassette and the CD, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, you know what we should do is I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
We should. We've talked about Amazon Music and Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. we should probably let people know how to get a hold of your music.
Well, it's super easy because everything, if you just go to thegreataffairs.com, you're going to find all the links right there. If you go to the store page, the CD is available on there, but you can get it. As far as streaming it, it's everywhere. So, and all of our like social media handles are all like Instagram.com/thegreataffairs, Facebook.com/thegreataffairs, Twitter/thegreataffairs. They're all, other than YouTube, which you'll have to go to our page and click on that because we don't have 100 subscribers yet, so we can't get our own unique handle on there. We just have our generic computer generated handle still, but hopefully that'll change. The videos get a bunch of plays, so maybe that'll bump up and we'll get that changed. But so it's real easy to track down. There's a Here Now page, which is the Great Affairs /herenow.com. I think. I suppose I should have written that down. And that takes you to all the streaming sites. And then there's a buy from artist that'll take you right back to our actual official website. And you just go to the store and it's right there. And I'll happily ship it out as soon as I can dig my way out of our driveway. I will personally.
You guys have so much snow.
It's still coming down, and it was not supposed to. I've been watching it the whole time we're on the phone, and it's this is not what the forecast said.
Wow.
But, yeah, we just don't get it here. When we get it, it usually lasts like 30 minutes and then it's gone, or a night and it's gone. And this is 3 days. I'm watching this poor guy across the street trying. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. Get into his driveway. So far, I haven't had to push any cars. So
no, does anyone even? No one would have snow tires.
Oh no,
right?
I don't. We don't even. I don't even know how many plows that the. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think there'd be much of a market for it down here because what happens here is that as soon as they mention snow in the forecast, everybody runs to the grocery store and they buy all the milk and eggs. And if there's salt to salt your steps, they buy all the salt before a single flake ever hits the ground. And then half the time the snow never comes. So they're stuck with all this milk and whatever random produce they picked up and some salt. But on the rare occasion when it does actually happen like this, they just put out a news thing saying, everybody stay home. And everybody stays home until it goes away. So thankfully, we're not like Texas where the power's out or anything. All of our utilities are functioning. Yeah, that's a mess. So we're fortunate that way. But it's we just recently switched over to in-ear monitors for the first time for playing live, and I had an appointment scheduled for Tuesday morning to get custom molds fitted. That has now been moved to Friday, and I'm just waiting for the text saying my appointment is now moved to Monday. Next week. Yeah, I suspect it's not gonna happen tomorrow. And even if it did, I don't know that I can get my truck out of the driveway to go to it. So
that's crazy. I mean, you might have more snow than we do. No, that's probably not true. We have.
I doubt it.
No, we had snow on Tuesday, Monday night. We had quite a bit. So we've got a little bit here now, but February.
Well, it's just funny. If you look at social media here, it's hilarious because everybody, you would think they've never seen it before. Everybody has to post a picture. I grew up in the Midwest, so this is not shocking to me in the least. I was out there with it. Although I will say this, yesterday was the first time in my entire history that I have shoveled a lot of snow that I had to break out a regular shovel to bust up the ice and then use the snow shovel. That's the thing here. The temperature was kind of up and down, so it was rain, freeze, snow, rain, freeze on top of snow, and now another layer of that. So
it's all ice under there.
Yeah, it was an adventure. And I'm gonna try and walk my dog in this here when we get off the phone, and I just can't wait to be dragged down the street. So.
Jeez, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Well, Denny, thank you so much, man. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
I mean, Butch Walker's probably going to be calling both of us tonight.
Maybe we'll get a check out of this. Who knows?
We might get we mentioned a lot of.
He's going to call me out to shovel his drive. He's out in Franklin, so I'll have to drive out there if I can get out there. That's what I can do. Show that shovel technique.
Exactly. He's like, I don't know how to do this.
You've been in Malibu too long.
That's right. Right on. Okay, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and
you too, man.
We'll talk again. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
See you.
Okay. gone.